Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Crefts Couch Pod with your host, Dr. Janine Kreft. I have a fun episode for you today. I was facilitated massively recently on the pursuit of a luxury handbag. So I'm going to tell you all about it, the clarity I got, the drama I went through, and what it taught me. And it's so fun with these simple things that can really teach us so much. So first, quickie housekeeping, two things I want to mention. One, I'm having a sale on an anxiety bundle. If you are feeling pinged, I would say check that out on my Instagram. I am talking about it a little bit more, but I'm bundling some of my favorite things, which are my Heal a Dysregulated Nervous System, my Pocket Couch Times, and a specific masterclass. And the Pocket Couch Times are guiding you in the moment out of a panic attack, an overthinking episode, or an irritability episode. So like if you're having a panic attack, you go to that content and I am literally talking you through what to do. So there's that. As I mentioned, my nervous system course, which has like all the nervous system things. That's my OG, my classic, so needed. And one of my favorite, and I would say like underrated master classes, probably because I name them funky things and people don't always know what I mean. But this one was Forget Scared, Be Scary. And it's like, what does that mean? Well, when we're anxious, we tend to brace ourselves for impact. And I know this because I'm very familiar with this energy. So instead of empowering yourself and commanding the energy of you and your reality, we tend to do something different, which just kind of perpetuates the problem. So I've hand curated this bundle because I feel like this is really what is needed right now if you are struggling with anxiety. So that is A, a new bundle, and B, it's on sale till Wednesday, the 26th at 11:59 Central. So if you're feeling called, all of that is, I'm talking more about it on Instagram. So that's A. B, the other thing that is going on is my software program update. This is going to be a major program, a major content course, etc. We'll see what comes out of it. But basically, I'm going to be recording it live. So if you want to get in now on the early bird special, it's like insane price. It's like a third of the price of what it will be when it's all done and packaged. So this is like the time if you're feeling pain. So this is all about reprogramming your subconscious. And we're going to go over lots of topics. I'm getting the topics that you want to reprogram, the tools so that you can apply to any of it, but also examples of the highly requested topics so that you know exactly kind of the questions I ask and how I workshop it for myself. So wow, this is going to be, it just has so much energy to it. And I'm so excited about it. And we're not going to start for a little bit, but the early bird does end this month. So if you're feeling pinged, I'm continuing to talk about it on IG as well. Definitely check that out more, but it's all going to be recorded live content. So you being at the calls is going to be a massive contribution to what gets created. So as folks know who have worked with me in the past, jumping in on these beta things is like the secret sauce. It's where you get the most bang for your buck because you get in early and you get all the things and it's just such a vibe. So if that's pinging you, check that out. All right, let's get on to business, shall we? So on my Pinterest board, if you will, on my Pinterest board, I have had a Chanel boy bag that has been on there for a long time, like many a year, I would say, probably since I started Pinterest. And at that time, it was like the classic black. And if you haven't seen a Chanel boy bag, go check it out. But they're just a cool, classic, maybe a little edgy bag. And I have always been obsessed with it. Well, it was, a multi-four-figure bag. So it was not something I was A, in a place to spend on a long time ago, or B, felt like that was a good idea at the time. So I had gotten to the place where recently in January, it started to ping me again for whatever reason. I was like, you know what? I would really love one of these boy bags. And so I go and check, just kind of what's happening with them. And on the Chanel store, they're being sold for like $6,000 to $7,000 now a bag. I mean, they have gone up over the years. And they just kind of had the kind of some basic colors. It's one of those bags where, they've made it over the years, and each year and season they do different colors and slightly different twists on hardware or fabric or whatever. So there are some that then become really hard to come by, right? Because they're only making so many, etc. And then sometimes at different stores, they have certain ones, and like it's just this whole thing. So when I wasn't really feeling like I was vibing with the ones online, I started to research some of these luxury consignment places like Real, Rebag, all these places that basically resell used luxury bags. And you can often find, a lot of the older styles on there, as well as all other sorts of items, right? Not just bags. So what happens is I find this really cool taupe colored one. And, if you know me, my brand, I love a neutral for the most part. And it was small, it was taupe, and it had some really cool, like, antiqued gold hardware. So, like, not the shiny hardware, but the, like, matte gold, and it was a vibe, and I was obsessed. Well, it was listed still at pretty close to full price, like almost comparative to a brand new one currently. And I was like, oh, like there was contraction immediately with that. A, because it was almost a full price. And B, there was like some lipstick on the inside. And I just, you see that and you spend a certain amount and you're kind of like, I want the new thing. I want it new and pristine. Like I want to be the one that gets lipstick or stain on it, right? Not somebody else. And so there were things that just had me contract around it. At the same time, I was like obsessed. I'm telling you, obsessed. And I just thought, I'm just going to watch it. And for people that know me, when I put my mind to something, like nobody can stop me. When I decide something, I am going after it and I will come by it. So for me to like pause was interesting. But something about it, although it was kind of like checking most of the boxes for me, just kept having me pause. Now, if you've also listened to previous episodes, you know that I have been really seeking to consume less social media specifically overall in service of getting more clarity on my yeses and nos. So like, what is my intuition telling me? Not pro and conning something to death, justifying a choice. No, just what is that natural energetic hit that says, ooh, yes, get that, or ooh, no, thank you. And so in this process, I have been also workshopping that. So that's kind of happening simultaneously while I'm, kind of eyeing this bag. When I tell you I was like a little obsessed about it, like I was literally opening the app every day to check to make sure it was still there and to make sure I still felt a vibe with it. And I came to the place where I was like, you know what? If it goes down, then I'll pull the trigger. Like if it goes on sale, they put it on a little like 10, 20% off, I'll pull the trigger. Well, what happens a couple months in is it does go on sale. Like I think they take like $1,000 off. And all of a sudden my heart is racing. It's like, oh my God, it's time. I got to get it. And I literally, and inputting all of my information, I'm like just about to like hit checkout. Like I'm just about to hit the button, but something still internally stops me. There's just still some contraction. And I was almost like trying to talk myself into it because when I was just thinking about like the pragmatics of like, okay, the lipstick, it's like on the inside and I'm pretty sure I could get it out, or if I take it to a professional, like it'll look fine and this seems the right color. So the other issue with this is the site didn't allow for returns on this bag. It was like a no return. So it's either you choose it or don't. So that also had me kind of like pause for a second and be really mindful. So I just kept contracting around it. And what happened is then I continued to do more research because at first I wasn't even sure, they come in like a million different sizes. And I was like, do I want the small? Do I want the old medium, the new medium, the large, and trying to like figure that out and yada yada. And this one was a small in particular. And kind of wasn't sure, is it going to be too small, too big, what, just all the things you go through. And I'd come down to it that I was like, no, I think I'm cool with the small. This feels good. I like a smaller bag. And I'm just going to keep an eye on it. Somehow that day, I just didn't press checkout and was like, I'm just going to wait. And this was a struggle because when things like this are gone, they're gone, especially right there. It's like an older color that I had not seen before. I hadn't seen it anywhere else. And I was like, I'm just going to wait. But something definitely had me anxious about it. And I was going into some scarcity of losing it. So how I facilitated myself out of that was, okay, asking questions. Does it feel light for me to get this bag right now? It was like a bit of a mixed response. Like I got a mixed bag response, which was like the idea of getting it, but maybe this one wasn't it, which was so hard for me to get behind because my ego was going into like, this is it, right? And when we go into conclusions, we block our awareness. God, and this is what is so challenging with awareness is because it's like the whisper of knowing without all the details and then needing to trust it. And I was like, but my ego says I like this color and this is fabulous. So awareness, what is going on? And so something was tripping me up about it. So when I was kind of getting aware of that, I then asked the universe, well, commanded, so to speak, but I asked the universe, what would it take for this or better? This bag or better. Either I'm going to get this bag or something better is going to come along. And I'll say that I put it out there like kind of half trusting, but just like, okay, I'm if this is the work I do, then I need to just trust this. So what happens one day is I'm scrolling through and, it's like I saw, or I thought I saw that the bag was sold and my heart stopped. My heart stopped. And then I looked more closely and it was still there. And so that was an interesting mirage, if you will, like an illusion. And so I got the message at that time that kind of came through that it was like, if you want this one, you have to get it now. And I almost didn't want to trust it, right? I was just kind of like, now, what is it? It's like April, end of March, it's been on there for a couple months. I'm like, I don't get the sense it's moving. Like I just kind of went into like justifications, yada, yada, to still not choose it, which was all just interesting. So I can't remember if it was like a couple days or a week later, I check again, and mind you, I'm still continuing to check daily, but I check again and boom, it is sold. It's gone. Someone bought it. And when I tell you, it took my breath away. And I probably like almost immediately got a little teary. I was like, oh my God. And I was kind of annoyed at myself too, because I was like, why am I getting upset over this bag? I can't believe, so it's just like all the feelings. Like I've been trying to navigate this. Am I getting clear information or not? And I was telling my husband, I'm like, I feel embarrassed to tell you how upset I am about a bag right now. And luckily he's so understanding of how I function. But I just thought it was so interesting because I was like, what the heck? Like I thought I had clarity. I said, universe, this or better. And like, I don't want to wait. I've waited this long. And so I immediately go into, nope, I'm not giving up. This bag is coming back to me. Like that was kind of my energy around it. Like, I don't know, somehow it's going to be like a mistake. It's going to show back up online or I'm going to find it somewhere else online. And so this led me to like really researching. And when I tell you I can research things, I can research the crap out of things. So I was like looking at every website that sells them. And then of course, trying to be mindful. Obviously you don't want to fake and all that business. And researching all the sizes, yada, yada. Well, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, I think I found like the same cut, like the same leather, it was like the classic quilting, the same taupe color, the same hardware, but a bigger size. And this goes into all these other things where there was like, it was listed as old medium, but like, I believe it was not. It was probably new medium. And then I watched all these videos about like the comparison of the sizes. I'm just trying to paint the picture for you of how obsessive I became. So when I found this on this different site, this is a different site, that it almost seemed like the same bag, but bigger. And this site allowed for a 7-day return. So I was like, okay, at least I can order it and see if, I like it and I can return it, right? Low risk. I order it and like, I can't tell you, but maybe 3 seconds later, I was thinking already, I don't want this bag. Is that so crazy? Choosing creates awareness, right? I chose it and I researched a little bit more and looked at the numbers, and I sense it was mislabeled, but I was like, this is too big. I'm not going to want this. And so I started to kind of workshop with myself, like, well, just wait until it comes and then you can see to be sure and then you can return. But I was like, no, I can trust myself. It's okay that I already bought it. You can just email and cancel it. No, this is no big deal, right? And it's like, meanwhile, it's getting nervous and panicky. It's just, oh my gosh. So what happens is I cancel it. That felt light. I'm like, this feels light to choose. I'm choosing it, even though it appears to be the only one on the internet that is the same color, but it's a different size. Because all of a sudden I had gone to, no, I really want the small size. Now I got clarity on it, right? So part of this process gave me clarity on my ask, right? So at first, in the beginning, the universe just knew, well, she wants this Chanel boy bag. It's been on her, wish list forever. But what size, what color, right? All those things weren't super clear. So it was almost like the universe gifting me an opportunity to get more clear, right? So I became clear. I'm like, nope, I want the small size and some sort of neutral color. So it felt light to cancel that one. I will say that I mildly let this go a little bit, but continued to just research what else was out there. And funny enough, in the process of researching, when the OG bag was still available, I had seen this other bag that was this kind of like what appeared to be this really nice stone color, still that cool antiqued brass hardware, but then had like these scaled leather rather than the classic quilt. And it was just a different color. I had my heart set on this like taupey earth tone color, and this appeared this like whitish stone color. I'm like, you know what? I like white. I like stone. I wear a ton of that. This is interesting. But I was kind of thrown by the scales because I'd never seen it before, and I was like, I don't know. Is this too trendy? I should go classic. All those things you think about. And so I had seen it, and it just kind of casually kept popping up. When I'd do my research, I would just see it, but it didn't really stick in my mind. And that's like another key piece, because I wasn't overly attached to it, right? Like the first one I was super attached to, and this one I had seen along the way. I'd even hearted it, and yet I kind of forgot about it. And this is what also really contributed it like popping into existence. So this one was also on the site where there was the 7-day return, and from where I'd ordered the other bag, and they had refunded me. So I was like, okay, this is like a reputable site. I feel good about this. But I didn't know the site before. And so as I continued to look at it more and more, I'm like, hey, this one's like kind of a vibe. Like maybe this one is cool. Like it still felt second fiddle. And it's so funny because as I'm telling the story, I'm recognizing how similar this is to the house story. If you haven't listened to that episode, I really recommend you go check it out, because I talk about how I was like really obsessing about this one house that I thought was it. And then we end up in the house behind it, which I thought again was second fiddle, but then ended up being my favorite. So I come to the point where I'm like, do I like this bag? Do I not? And at that point, I wasn't even looking at pricing. However, this bag was another $1,000 cheaper than even the OG was when it was on sale. So I was like, we like the price. We like the price. And it was in good condition. There wasn't any like super visible lipstick stains or wear and tear. Like it looks almost new, I would say. So I was like, you know what? Let me just order it. Let's just order it because I can see. I know I want the small. This is unique. It's different. I like the stone color. Cool. So I'm getting excited for it to come. Really excited for it to come. I'm like, oh my God, that's Chanel boy bag, but also wary because I'm kind of like, I really like this other one. Is it going to live up to it, right? What I had in my mind. Well, it comes and I open it and I take it out of the box and it is not stone colored. It is like a metallic taupe. Well, to be specific, it's probably like a grayish color. So maybe a little cooler tone. But I was like, wait a second. What did I ask for? I asked for some sort of like earthy stone color. That's what I got really specific on. I wanted something earthy tone. I wanted it to be unique and I wanted the brass gold hardware, good, better condition and cheaper. What is this bag but exactly that? Which is so crazy because, you know, the lighting and stuff when they take pictures of these things is not always completely accurate. Like it's kind of hard to tell versus seeing it in person. So when I opened it, I just sat in the chair for a second looking at it thinking like, wait, so do I want this? Because I think I just got my head around liking the stone color and now this is like a grayish color, but wait, this is like closer to what I wanted. And it was just a whole process for my energy to kind of observe what was happening and really get clear. And I was like, holy cow, I can trust myself. I can trust myself. I can trust my awareness and the universe. Because if we look back on the timeline here, it's like I can trust the wavering and I can trust how the universe led me from one place to another, right? So I was originally looking on one website that I was very familiar with. I'd done a lot of selling with and buying, and so I was familiar with it, right? And I felt safe about their, authenticity checks and whatnot. And I was kind of pigeonholed to that, I would say, but yet I wavered on something that I thought was almost perfect, but I wavered. And this was interesting, especially coming from someone who tends to be choose happy. Like I tend to prematurely choose. I tend to be the one that's like a little bit before the timing, like eat the avocado a little bit before it's ripe. So I found it interesting that I wasn't. So it's almost like in order for me to really see the bag that I have now, which was on a different website that I was not familiar with, hadn't used before, right? Wanted to make sure I trusted and whatnot. I had saw that bag along the way. I saw it along the way, but it didn't really stick. It wasn't super prominent. It was just kind of like, oh, that one's cool, right? And it was the same with this house. That first house I was like literally obsessed with. And this house that we're now, I was like, well, it's cool. It's cool, right? But it's like that is the energy that's much closer to having the thing. Is that you're like, yeah, it's cool. Like I could have it. I could be it, but you're not going into all this lack and separation from it. So it's interesting because, when the first bag, the OG bag sold, it led me to look elsewhere, right? Because when I kept looking at one site, that I wasn't seeing anything else that I liked. It led me to look elsewhere and then come back to the other side of where I bought the second bag and then canceled it, right? And like kind of tested them out and then started to dive in more there, right? So it's like one thing leads you to the next. So just because you have an awareness of something feeling really light, like this first bag felt very, very light, it's like I needed that to lead me to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? Because it's kind of like path of least resistance. Your inner being, your higher self knows what's going to get you there. But if I had gone straight to the bag I have now, that site, I would have probably dismissed it, right? Because it's like I didn't know the site. It was not kind of what I thought I was looking for, yada, yada. And so it had to go about this way. It had to go about this way so I can trust that it was light and I can trust that I wavered. So what I want you to take away from this is that just because something's light doesn't mean it's right, right? Just because something's light just means it's the next step. It doesn't mean this is the thing that's going to create whatever you've desired. It might then lead you to the next, which leads you to the next, which leads you to the next. And, you can't take or go from the beginning of the monkey bars to the end, right? You have to swing from one, ring or bar to the next. So if you have to go step by step, then the universe is going to kind of pivot you in that direction as well. So when you ask, well, is this light to choose? And you get a yes, okay. So what else do I need to know about this? What will it create if I choose this, right? Continue to ask questions rather than go into conclusions, because that's where sometimes I get tripped up, where it was same with the house. I was like, well, this is it. It's super light. It feels expansive. This has got to be the one. But what if the one that you think is the one is actually leading you to the real one? But the magic within this process also is that when your attention is on the one you think you should have or you're obsessing about, it takes your stage 5 clinger energy off the thing that could pop into your existence, right? Because it's like we need to be in a state of being, of already having the thing, which means I can't be obsessively in lack about it, right? The other thing was this could be a vibe, right? I'm relaxed. I could have it or not, kind of take it or leave it vibes, which is more similar to then you having it, right? Because once you have something, then you have it. You aren't thinking about how to get it. So what is that thing that you are seeking to create right now? Whether it be a handbag or a relationship or a job or money or health or whatever. And have you been racking your brain on how to get there? How do I get there? If you had it, you would not be spending your time doing that. You would just be vibing with it, right? Like right now, I'm vibing with my purse. I'm not thinking about how to get it. And so that's the energy you want to dwell in as much as possible. So how do you do that? I mean, lots of different ways, but one way is to spend time visualizing it, having it, and it just kind of all working out with total ease so that your nervous system relaxes enough to match the frequency of having it, right? Because if you're going into lack around it, then you push it away further. Now, you don't have to have these things down 100%, right? You don't have to be 100% out of doubt. You can see I functioned from doubt with the handbag throughout a lot of the process, and it still popped into my reality, right? So it's like you just have to have more focus. Like if you balance this out in percentages, like more than 50%, 51% or more focus on creating it versus the lack of it. So your takeaway today is it's okay to have doubt. It's okay to have doubt. You don't have to be 100% behind something for it to pop into your existence. And don't come to a conclusion about something feeling light like it's the be-all, end-all answer. What if it's just there to bring you more awareness to your next choice? And could you just simply have fun in the process? So if you are loving learning this way and gain more clarity on your intuition, reprogramming your subconscious, I'm telling you, the SUP, the software update program, I love the acronym SUP, is going to be where it's at, because I'm just so excited to facilitate this for others, continue to talk about it, and just create some magic. So if it pings you, you know where to find me. All right, until next time.